I first became interested in Greenland when I was 16 and my grandfather died, leaving me this book called Greenland, written by Fridtjof Nansen in 1897 after the first ice cap crossing. My grandfather was awarded it in 1898 as a school prize. It's a fantastic story, a tale of high adventure, of icebergs, of skiing, of sledging, of crevasses, of sailing across the ice cap, and it inspired me to one day visit this beautiful country. My chance came in 2005 through Paul Walker, who organizes expedition logistics to Greenland. Greenland used to be all mountains and now has an ice cap 12,000 feet high, which has pushed the center down. Only the tops of the mountains, called nunataks, poke through. The ice cap flows past these to the sea. The prevailing wind from the northwest forms sastrugi waves on the ice and scours out huge wind scoops. The east coast of Greenland is almost inaccessible, with sea ice extending halfway to Iceland year-round. Huge glaciers feed icebergs into this hostile region. Our base camp was to be on the edge of the ice cap. There are no maps of the region, and no one has ever been to the unnamed mountain ranges. We had only an old aerial photo to refer to. Greenland has the world's lowest population density. Even Mongolia has 50 times that of Greenland. The ice cap plunges 3,000 feet through basaltic mountains in vast ice falls. These cliffs were formed by huge volcanic lava flows. The ice is constantly moving, creating crevasses and avalanches. One of Greenland's glaciers is the fastest in the world, at over 100 feet per day. Where we were going, there is no vegetation, no animals, no life at all. The glaciers feed into each other like huge rivers, some up to 80 kilometers wide. When they reach the sea, they melt and carve icebergs, which drift into the North Atlantic. This is a primeval, beautiful landscape. Near the coast, the polar bear hunts, and I was advised that it will normally attack and kill people for food. Flying in here, there would be no customs officials, no immigration, no tourists, and even no population along this 400 miles of coast. I needed to do some serious training, hauling tires on Surrey turf, strengthening up leg muscles, working on circulation, and breathing for the rarefied air of the ice cap. The manager at the local gym was an ex-commando, and put me through an Arctic warfare program, with lead weights around my ankles and threats of backpacks full of bricks. I was to get my heart rate up to the maximum allowable for my age and keep it there as long as I could. But above all, I was not to tear up the gym's machines with my ski boots and ice climbing boots. Soon I could climb the equivalent of the Eiffel Tower in 13 minutes with heavy boots on. I was soon to meet the team. Paul Walker of Tangent Expeditions, probably with more first ascents of unclimbed peaks under him than anyone in history. John Dallymore, Himalayan expedition leader and authority on mountaineering medical systems. Tim Campbell-Smith, an alpinist and surgeon, whose skills I hoped I would not need. Mike O'Boyle, a passionate technical rock and ice climber with a winter ascent focus. Jeff Bonney, a Himalayan veteran just back from getting our plane loose from a crevasse in Greenland. Dave Craven, a hardened technical mountaineer just back from a crossing of Iceland's ice cap. Tina Nielsen, with a mountaineering background in the Himalayas, Antarctica, and the Andes. And myself, a relative rookie, having retired from mountaineering 23 years ago due to old age, after a series of expeditions in Alaska, Patagonia, the Himalayas, and other scenic regions. Paul organized some crevasse rescue practice for us in the Lake District. This involved climbing up our own ropes on Jumars, Prusiks, or other ascenders. We also practiced using our climbing ropes, getting 2 times, 4 times or more purchase in order to get injured climbers out.
4 pulleys that it uses.
My gear was mostly obsolete and rusting in the garage, so I bought some more and sorted everything, reducing weight to an absolute minimum. Then we were off to Iceland, where volcanoes throw icebergs into the sky. We changed planes at Ísafjordur, on Iceland's northwest corner. I found some lupins in this barren place. Then we were due to fly across the ice-choked, stormy Denmark Straits to Greenland. We loaded enough fuel to allow the only ski plane able to get to East Greenland to get back from our base camp. We loaded our gear, and our pilot, Bjarki Hjaldason, packed a large mallet for knocking the skis loose if they froze in. This twin otter was designed to take 19 people, but was stripped out and could only take 4 of us in 2 trips due to the extra fuel loaded. The sea ice guarding the coast was soon in view, and then we followed a glacier inland. Ice climbed to higher elevations under us. It covered the mountains until only the nunataks were sticking their tops through. The ice rose higher and higher, and the green ice on the nunataks gave us an idea of some tough ice climbing. After a rough landing, we unloaded, and Bjarki told us he would not land here again as it was too rough. We had to smooth it down, or we would not be able to get out. We wondered if Bjarki would ever come back. Now we were on our own. My tent was in its element in these cold, beautiful surroundings, north of the Arctic Circle, camped on a sheet of ice moving slowly down to the sea. We were surrounded by nunataks and took stock of what we were to climb. Snow slopes, ice gullies which would need 2 axes and front pointing, and rock ridges. I dug in my kitchen and loaded my climbing gear into the pulk, ready for action.
Well, here's my home in Arctic Greenland. There's sun outside, it's below freezing, and quite a strong wind, so it's quite cold outside, but nice and cozy in here. There comes Tina, past her tent. And out there is Mike, and John, and Tim. Well, it's another sunny day here in paradise in Greenland. our Norwegian freeze-dried food. Very convenient. You just fill up the bag with boiling water and eat it straight out of the bag, and it's quite good. A bit frosty this morning. Have a look at this. This is our restaurant, Kangalutsuaq restaurant, and head chef over there. And we've got our garden here. How is it today, John?
Much windy, much windy.
A little cooler, a little more like what we came for. Well, this is Jeff giving us a lesson on how to build a toilet in the Arctic. It's a great piece of work, this, our second one. The only tools needed: one ice axe, one shovel, one hard-working ski mountaineer. In other words, Jeff. The view here compensated for the Spartan nature of this construction. We were also required to have a gun in the unlikely event of a visit from a polar bear.
And in our lesson we were going to, for the term, we were going to Sudbury School. We were doing it wasn't good work, but I think we were going, something like that.
These were the peaks we planned to climb, rocky on their northwest windward sides, with huge tails of snow and ice to leeward. An easy start with a snow slog, then a second snowy peak, an ice climb up a steeper peak, then a tough climb with an impossible ice pitch at the top, a rocky ridge. I named this peak Mount Michael after my elder son. Then we had a long, dangerous traverse to a peak which I named after my second son, Mount Richard. Behind this mountain is the North Pole. Over to my right is the Greenland ice cap, the second largest in the world after Antarctica. This is the view in the other direction. This is Nunatak. And Nunatak is the top of a mountain, probably about 8,000–9,000 feet high. And just the top 1,000 feet sticks up above the ice cap here. Behind this Nunatak is the ice cap, and there are no mountains sticking up through this ice cap until you get the other side of Greenland. Further down the glacier, the mountains get higher because the glacier is dropping off. This peak's unclimbed. I guess we'll be doing it later on in the trip. Beautiful. We started our climbs at 10 in the evening, when the snow and ice were crisper, harder, easier to ski on, and safer to climb on. The ice was generally crusty and blown into rough sastrugi ridges, making it hard work hauling the pulks. We were self-contained with all the emergency kit we needed. As if there was an accident, we would have to manage it without outside help. We skied using half-length kicker skins under our skis for grip and traction. Some of us used alpine touring skis and bindings, which had the advantage of using the same boots for climbing and skiing. The rest of us used lighter cross-country skis which were faster, but required a different set of boots for climbing and skiing.
On the main ice cap, the surface was smoother and resembled a huge sea under the midnight sun. It was enthralling and breathtaking. We were reminded that this ice sheet, 2 miles thick, was continuously moving, sometimes throwing up ice blocks bigger than houses as it flowed over obstructions. The midnight moon was almost as strange as the midnight sun. At the foot of the climb, we would unload the pulks in temperatures of -10 to -20. Take off ski boots, don climbing boots plus crampons. We got ready with carabiners, ice screws, rock protection, belay ropes, tickets, harness, helmets.
Mike can belay me, and I can just take off all this rope, and he can just let the rope out.
Yeah.
So without them moving, they can be on a belay, but I can just go all the way up, probably to the top.
Each mountain was guarded by a bergschrund, the first crevasse below the ice faces. Here we roped up and treaded carefully. Then we were on to steep traverses, and views began to unfold.
Yeah, I mean exactly. If you just go over on the back. Yeah.
Mr. Blues Brothers coming up here.
The Blues Brothers are here.
Nightshades, eh?
I think that's really neat, isn't it?
Trip up and go on the other side. Jeff? Well, apparently if you have a really long tail over it, only... Okay.
Ready to go?
Yep.
And a rock band above him.
In the rock and the band, but he's put in an ice screw right now about halfway.
Might well get another piece through and a rock band above him.
Could that be lower down with that tape?
It's okay. Just trying to work out what they've done here.
After some steep ice pitches on Peak 9, Paul, Jeff and I traversed on this exposed ridge to Peak 10, which we reached in the early morning.
Hey!
We could see 50 miles in all directions, a total of 10,000 square miles. It was amazing to think that no one had ever seen these views, and that possibly no one ever would again. Below us, where the ice cap started to funnel into a glacier, was our base camp, our home in this Arctic lifeless desert. It's 1:30 in the morning, the sun's been up all night, and
It's a beautiful night. Unfortunately, my last night here. It's probably about -10, light wind blowing, and very, very quiet. It's one of the most fantastic places in the world.
We spent our days skiing and hauling pulks over the runway, hoping Bjarke would come back. We put skis up along its length to help him in a partial whiteout and lit a smoke flare. I left a few days before the others and flew to Gumbjornsfjeld to meet up with a team taking England footballer Ian Wright to the top of the highest mountain in the Arctic for a Sky TV broadcast. Ian was an energetic character and one of Britain's most famous footballers, formerly Arsenal's top striker in history, and playing for England over 30 matches. When he was transferred from Crystal Palace to Arsenal, he became Britain's most expensive player. I posed for a couple of photos to give to my eldest son Mike, himself a keen soccer player. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, Jeff had built an ice henge. Then the weather closed in and they were unable to fly out in a 5-day storm. Tents were buried as a meter of snow fell. Visibility closed in to 50 yards. They were unable to leave camp. Cooking had to be done inside the tents. Tina's tent split in two under the weight of snow and wind. But Bjarke came back in a window of fair weather and got the team out. It had been a wonderful adventure, 9 first ascents of unclimbed peaks, a terrific group with loads of team spirit, and now a collection of memories.